Guys, I'll give like the informal introduction. So we have been working on BIMIT. Um, in the last few weeks, we've had to do a bunch of stuff we've never done before, between creating Discord communities, doing Twitter Spaces, Austin figuring out Stripe integrations, trying to get us paid. Uh, Darsa, you're managing like over like I don't know 80 different partners around the world. Don't even know how we're managing, and Suli's out here trying to lay down the law and trying to figure out all the fires we have. Um, yeah, I mean, maybe we start. Yeah, Suli, how did this thing start with BIMIT? Why does it matter? Why are we even talking about this?
BIMIT. Well, we needed to diversify, right? We needed to make sure that we were more in control of our destiny, and we proved that we could do that, that it worked, that we could build the network, put the pieces together. We created that machine, and then came time to diversify and make sure that we didn't have all our eggs in one basket. Then man, what happened next? I feel like it was like from one day to the next that uh, you brought the idea up. Next thing I know, we're all in New York putting it together.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Who came up with the what was the name before BIMIT that we were trying to trying to
what was it
figure
like?
out?
Bimley,
Bimify as well, remember?
Bimify.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't choose those. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was Pat that said BIMIT. I was a little
yeah.
worried because I was like, oh man, is that like sound like a curse word? Like, BIMIT, but I think it's gonna catch on. We'll see. We'll find out.
I think so.
But
I
I
think
got
so.
I got photos of Alvaro jotting down in the little WeWork room that we were in, trying to get ideas.
I remember that, yeah. We started like
Yeah,
writing all of the different names and all of the different ideas. Yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot of eureka moments. And I mentioned earlier how fast it happened, and we're saying, yeah, I remember. This was a few months ago, guys, and we're a few days from launching this product. And it was just a few months ago we were in that WeWorks office, um, brainstorming, really. Um,
yeah, yeah. I know how long, and Austin, you could speak to this, but I mean, how many months were we trying to have a conversation with Matterport and just introducing this idea that we can take scans and create models? I mean, it was months, and then yeah, now with BIMIT, we got it down to 3 months. And my instinct is maybe the next product launch we can do it maybe even quicker, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point, right? Like we've already had, we've already kind of built something out with what we had with Matterport, and I think that was another challenge here is um, building on top of what we already had, um, on top of what we've already built, and yeah, just kind of taking it a step further. Um, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of what we've been able to do in such a short amount of time. Compared to even the first go with the Matterport service. I think we've been able to do a lot in a relatively short amount of time here.
I know. We I think the first go around was, like, I guess the first question is we were trying to figure out is like, can we actually pull this off? This was with Matterport, and I think it was a combination of us trying to convince them, but also convince ourselves that we could do it. Um, but I think that once we landed that and we launched with Matterport, now it's like we know we can do it, and we've got the right ingredients, team, infrastructure. Of course, there's always things to fix, but like we kind of know, like we're now no longer like amateurs. Um, so probably the reason, I mean, for me, I know the reason I was pretty confident that this is going to be a thing is like we've got the infrastructure to do it. Now it's not can we do it? It's like now how do we take on new challenges we've never faced, right? Like now people pay us directly. That's a new challenge we've never had, which is a good thing if we figure that out. we have to figure out our own support. We've never really had to interface with every single user. That's a new challenge. I know it's going to be tough in the next few weeks. How to deal with different file formats, right? Like we're kind of used to just one, but now we're opening it up to the world, right? To scan for us and send it to us. Like that's a whole other challenge. But yeah, I mean, curious, Darsa, you're like on the ground working on every single order. Like what how are you feeling about this? Are you worried? Are you scared? Or what challenges do you think we're gonna have rolling out BIMIT?
Yeah, I mean, we have digitized more than 1 million square feet till now, and I think we are not scared at all. So, living in a data-driven world, and what we are doing, I think, is inexorable and obligatory these days. So, the whole process, we try to keep that as simple as possible. Uh, and the aim of all our work was to streamline our clients' workflow and reduce their complaints by offering them a ready to use BIM model. And with all these projects, we have achieved to keep clients' complaint to a minimum by containing consistent project quality in all projects. I mean, the whole process on our end, to sum it up, the QA/QC process was to check for inconsistencies and overlaps, improper namings, that all these things that may trigger complications in further stages of the project. So we actually the main challenge was that we actually don't know what the clients use this model for, and we have to make sure that the quality of the model is ready to use for any kind of client's needs. And we have tried to ensure that the model contains all the data, and that to distinguish that from a simple 3D model to a clean BIM file. So yeah, this was the most these are the most common challenges we face every day. Other than that, of course, timing and deadlines and model quality are the most important ones, and the ones we prioritize dealing with. And we are so excited to move forward with all this. I mean, imagining a platform when you can access your building data even from your phone or stuff like that. I mean, this is huge.
That's big, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we've gotten to a point where now the numbers become like abstract. Like I don't even know what, this past month we did something over like close to 100 orders last month, and it looks like based off what we're doing this month, we're gonna probably exceed that. The fact that we're there, I think I try to put it in perspective. Like this is what people in the like architecture and engineering industry like talk about, and here you are like doing it, and then talking about how we're going to scale that. I remember when we were doing like maybe 1 or 2 projects maybe a week, right? Like remember the hotels and all that, and here we are doing like 2 to 3 projects per day, which is ridiculous. So I guess question for you that like literally has seen every stage, right? Like what would it take for us to do? What would it take? And I know we're far away from this, but to go from 100 orders per month, but like to 100 locations a day. from like an operations perspective, how the heck do we ever, like, what does that have to look like in terms of team, QA, QC, Slack automations? I mean, at that point where I don't even know how do we get there?
Yeah, actually, as you mentioned, from 2 projects to hundreds and thousands of them, it's really interesting how we did them. Because like I was mentioning this with Siuli, like we are breaking records like every day. But I think as per now, we have said we use a strategy where we delegate the project based on our BIM partners' time zone and the project deadlines. So we already know what they are capable of, and so we categorize the project based on the scopes and our BIM partners' capacity. So with that, I think the very first move that we have to do right now is to ask for our partners' working hours. I mean, we have different time zones, and this is really important because we have like 24 hours of working on our projects, but we do not really know what their working hours are. And so by knowing that, it will be much easier to know where to expect the project submission.
Mhm.
And other than that, we already have set all the BIM standards written on BIM documenting file, and we try to stick with LOD 200. We have discussed this with Pat as well to create a template or where in Revit where we can add the view templates and avoid some of our fundamental comments that we use like on daily basis with our partners. So this would be more efficient, and it will be much easier for us to do the QA/QC process.
Yeah.
If the projects if the projects double up, we will gonna need help from the other side, but we need to try someone that knows how to do their job, like keep and maintain the consistency and quality for the models.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1,000,000%. Suli, I know you probably got some thoughts here too, because I know you've been working like hand in hand with Darcy on the team and like sourcing and interviewing and trying to vet people from all over the world and Argentina and Vietnam and India. I mean, I'm curious from like an operations perspective, how do we go from like 100 buildings in a month to 100 buildings in a day? Obviously, drastically different operation, right?
Yeah, massively. I mean, right now, 2 to 3 compared to 100.
Big deal.
Something definitely to look forward to, but a lot of different aspects, a couple different things. It ultimately is a matter of just expanding everything that we're already doing. Making a few things faster. QA/QC. That would have to be the first thing. We'd have to optimize. That's a lot of models a day, and to go through them manually wouldn't be as efficient. Partners. I don't like to throw numbers at the problems, but the partners we have the amount of partners. It's a lot of partners. It's a big network. But if we're talking, 2 to 3 to 100, I mean, it'd be a pretty big expansion of our network. From there, support, not just in QA/QC, but support for the QA/QC team and other aspects. I might need an assistant. Just an expansion of a lot of things that we're already doing. Because I think what we're doing is working. And it's just a matter of, over the past few months, as we move along in our processes, we find challenges, things to tweak, things to fix. And I don't think that'll ever stop. But it'd be great to get a jump start on a situation where we're looking at 100 orders a day, for sure.
Yeah. I do think that our tools would probably have to change. I mean, I remember like even 4 years back, we went from using Excel spreadsheets and Squarespace, right, to now our tools have evolved to Airtables and Webflow, and just coding our own backends and creating our own infrastructure with AWS. My hunch, is that our tools are definitely gonna have to evolve. I mean, Austin, I'm curious. You more than anyone kind of has the clearest kind of view on what that under the hood looks like. What would it take for us to ever get to like that scale where we're digitizing buildings at like that speed and scale?
Yeah, I definitely think we've done a lot as is to improve our process, build our network. But I think there's definitely a lot of room for growth there for refining that process. I think a lot of this is very specific to what we're doing. So I mean, it would be ideal to kind of eventually get to a point where we do have our own like internal platform for managing these processes, for onboarding, just so we can think about easily scaling. But I think that was kind of one of the considerations with BIMIT, right? Is that BIMIT isn't like a siloed service. It's going to be it's centric. It's like a critical service to our company, and I think that in building this, we've realized that it's going to be it's central, and so we can take into consideration, right, like how this is going to scale, and how this is going to play into like the bigger picture of all of our future services, IPX, and things like that. So one of the considerations that we've had when building this out is, how is this going to integrate with our already running services, but also how is this going to scale when we decide to increase our volume, add additional services. And so that's all things that we've like taken the time to kind of start to build out that foundation, and that's building on top of AWS for scalability, some of these databasing, architecting the way that our data looks, and is it robust enough to be able to be scaled and applied to different services throughout our company, as opposed to just BIMIT itself.
Right. And to me, I think what's crazy is that like no one exists in a silo, right? Like all of the challenges that, for example, like Darsa, you're facing, right? With one challenge is just modeling and the quality of modeling and keeping that clean. But if we achieve that level of standardization and cleanliness in our models, that then kind of sets us up for the foundation for like what Austin was saying, like kind of the bigger picture here is that now one part of the business and what's keeping the lights on, right, is just the transactional nature of creating models, right? That's kind of one way we're doing business, and we're doing that, frankly, consistently better, quicker, smarter than a lot of other services. But I think that as we do this, right, the database of models grows, right? And because we've been so meticulous in the standardization and level of detail, that is going to be the foundation to then kind of take the team to the next level, which is now the data in and of itself becoming a product, right? Like the ones and zeros. And I know, Austin, this is what truly, your data science background, like I know this is kind of your sweet spot, right? It's like, how do you then extract the ones and zeros and quantities and make even new products we might not even know about yet,
Yeah, I think one of the most important things when it comes to data science is having clean data. It's really it's a big hassle to have to sort through unstructured data to then try to do analysis on it. And I think that all of our efforts have been at least on the back end database have been centralized around that thought of like when we do decide to start rolling out products based on the data, can we is it going to be relatively straightforward for us to actually be able to jump in there and analyze the data without having to worry about aggregating data from multiple sources, making sure that you can compare models one-to-one, and things like that. So like that's going to be very, very important. And it's very, very critical to get that kind of structure established early on.
Mm-hmm. And that's just like, to me, that's like what the next inevitable like 1 or 2 steps is like taking these models now and kind of extracting that. One thing is just needing the BIM or the CAD, and another thing is to be able to need the quantities in and of themselves, right? And then which kind of brings up like Alvaro, like you've been a big proponent of this. Is that I know we've taken up a perspective that's like architecture and engineering based and construction based, but I mean, you've been a big proponent, right, of now as a result of these models, now this can kind of seamlessly get into the metaverse and take us to a whole other arena that we, just a few months ago didn't even know we could play in.
Totally. Yeah. And then we'll have to see how these played out in the metaverse. How can we prove functionality with these models that we create as well? But also how do we visualize these ones in the metaverse? Yeah, that's a huge one too.
And that's I mean, Darcy, I don't know if you've thought about this, like to think that maybe our end users are not even architects or engineers, but rather like folks that just want to have a home or a space on the metaverse, use us, and we're essentially creating their spaces, right, and uploading. Like, to me, I think about that, I'm like, wow, like it makes complete sense, but that opens up a door for like a whole other set of considerations we never even thought about, But
Yeah, actually, no doubt, metaverse shifting is making a big noise, and I think digital transformation is just the beginning of it, and it's like the bridge between the reality and the virtuality in our case.
yeah, we got a lot of work to do, because I know I remember hearing that there are more buildings in the world than websites, which I don't know who's fact checked that. I want to double down on that, but if that's true, that's ridiculous, because at this point, the cost of making a website has almost come down to like almost pennies or dollars. And to think that there's more buildings than even that is crazy. But that's good for us, because it sounds like we're never going to be out of the job. But that also means like everything is relative. Like, we're doing 2 or 3 buildings now, and we're getting the organization growing. But in order to ever digitize the entire building, the built environment, we're going to have to figure out some growth hacks pretty soon. Otherwise, it's going to take us a few thousand years to to digitize all the buildings.
We'll have to
Yeah,
see how we get a satellite to scan this.
I was thinking about the metaverse and BIM and how they intersect or will intersect, and if we could pull off, taking BIM into files for the metaverse, that would make us like digital building developers, like metaverse building developers. I don't know if anyone's coined that term yet, but could be us. Could be us. And then we'll really never run out of work.
That is true. That is true. I do think about like how all of these technologies are like intersecting. So I think things that I'm convinced of is, one, the phone technology is going to be a big deal, right? Because the days of us 3D scanning the space is probably going to become less and less and less, right? Particularly as this gets more powerful, which has implications, right? If we're ready for them. Now, instead of us scanning, now anyone can scan for us, essentially, right? And then we can kind of focus on the value add services and essentially building it for them. If we create that bridge to the metaverse, like where it's just a seamless, like, hey, I'm gonna take my phone out of my pocket, scan my space, hit a button, and effectively all of the sausage in between, that's how it's created. It's just, now we just plop their building in the metaverse. Like, yeah. So to your point, I don't know what that's called, digital metaverse builders or something.
Like construction developers. That would be us, but for the metaverse.
Yeah, I have seen there's a project that they're actually doing this with humans. So they created like they're doing photogrammetry with humans, and they have like this space where they put people inside, and their project, it's like to basically scan humans so they can transfer those 3D models to what the metaverse is going to look like. So maybe we should do the same, but with buildings, right?
There you go. There you go. I like that idea, because you talked about the satellite. The dilemma is either one, we have to raise more money than like SpaceX, which is going to be a little difficult, but that might help map the outside world, but the inside world is probably captured with phones, right? And then connecting all of that information from phones is probably, that's the hard part that I think we have the opportunity to like, to get ahead of. But yeah,
I mean, the first step, taking point clouds, modeling them, and then converting to GLTF files. I mean, I don't know how far we are from that and how much it might complicate things, but that would be the first step. Just plugging things in. I know it kind of sounds too simple, but really to plug a file into the metaverse is a GLTF file.
Guys, what if we did like Austin, I feel like you would have to run this for sure, because I wouldn't be able to pull this off, but like, what if we did like, we have a pretty solid data set of stuff. Obviously we'd have to anonymize projects and things like that, but if we just hosted a hackathon and said like, hey, here's all the raw information, files, etc. Like, what are all the creative ways we can like get this thing on the metaverse and like do interesting stuff with it? I am less familiar, but I like noticed that Decentraland has like SDKs that I guess I assume you can experiment with without having to purchase the $15,000 last plot of land. It's probably already taken up by now, but
yeah, I was looking through the Decentraland SDK. It looks like there's a capability to upload custom models and play around with that. So that would be something that would be really cool for us to look into.
How, if we had to host a hackathon, how would we do that?
Yeah, maybe we would just have to like reach out to post about it, and we could be, I mean, it would be important for us to like have a clear, kind of some like a clear scope, and if we just get the data set up and really make it easy for people to have maybe some clear instructions on what the metadata is there. I think it'd be pretty straightforward to get something going. I think we do have a treasure trove in terms of data and what we've already done. So it'd be cool to see what we could do with it.
Mm-hmm. I think we should do it. I think we should do it. I mean, even if we had to like pick like, 2 or 3 different projects, and obviously we would have to kind of write up the prompt, but even if it was just to see what is possible with this information. I mean, I guess that's the exciting part and also the frustrating part. It's like we kind of know, okay, well, getting it on the metaverse, but like, then what, but baby steps. I think as more users like BIMIT their orders, I think we're gonna have more and more opportunities to even allow users to like opt in, right? I guess that could be like I guess a service, right? Like how to integrate, like not just create a GLTF, right? Because I know we could just simply export that, but like build the pipeline or the bridge so that Decentraland or Sandbox and us just there's a button and just gets onboarded. Like that's
verify buildings for everyone. Yeah.
Minting buildings for everybody. Maybe that's what the service should have been called, mint it.
Yeah, but existing ones, right? Because these are not made up, right? These are not created out of like thin air. These actually exist in physical space, so that gives a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, verified, so you can use it. I'm not sure all the ways people would use it, but I'm sure just running off profit, people will find a way to use it.
Yeah, I'm sure Snoop Dogg would want to have his real house in the Decentraland for sure.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys watch that the Facebook like the 1 hour was it manifesto on what the metaverse is going to be, and Zuckerberg talking about it? Like, I guess the way that they see it is like, I can theoretically see how, Austin, you scan your apartment, we put on some Oculus Rifts all together, and now we're having I don't know, drinks at your apartment, I guess, but I don't know if that's like the highest and best use case, but I guess that's what Facebook was trying to suggest, that we could all, I guess, see each other in the space. I guess I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in general it's pretty cool to think about, right? Like the advantage, or I guess a perk of having like your, existing conditions building in the metaverse is that now, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how it would look, but we would have the capability to to interface the two, like actually have that bridge between, right, the real world and what's in the metaverse. Whatever that may mean, it can be interfaced, because it's supposed to match 1-to-1. So as opposed to like building your own custom building or model in the metaverse, there's no way that building in the metaverse can interface with the real world. But with something that exists, it can now. I'm not sure what applications there are with having that interface, but it seems like there's a lot of potential there. Yeah.
Alvaro, I'm curious, like, what are you saying? Because I know there's like various metaverses being developed right now.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about what, like, I was reading some articles about the metaverse, right? And also about like mixed reality. So right now, a lot of companies are investing into like, virtual reality, but also augmented reality. So yeah, mixed reality is going to be a huge part of like our future. Phones might be replaced by some glasses at some point. So I think at some point, like this metaverse that we're talking about, right now, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is showing it as a place we're going with some VR glasses. But I'm sure at some point this will be a place within our physical space. So have you guys like seen like Pokemon, like that game? So that was the very beginning of like what mixed reality is, right? So right now Microsoft is like developing HoloLens. Then we got Apple glasses as well. These are like huge investments into these companies, right? And they're trying to see like how we can get that virtual reality into our world. So I'm sure the metaverse is gonna play a lot with what we actually see, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I always think about that too. It's like, um, right now the hardware that we need to access the digital world, right? Like currently we use like our phone, right, or the laptop as a kind of key. Facebook is making the bet that the Oculus Rifts are like the key to some metaverse. I know Google some years ago, I feel like they make investments like the Google Glass a few years ago, and then they're like, no one's gonna buy it. But then I'm sure it's gonna come back eventually. Someone's gonna, like, maybe Apple's gonna try it. I do agree. I think humans in general, like, we want the most human like experience, and yet like this idea of people looking down at their phones, right? Like, is a result of creating a key that forces you to like look down. But I think we all want to kind of, as humans, like, look at each other and not at a screen, or I mean, I'm looking at a screen right now. But like the more human it gets, like the less I think we're going to try to continue, I assume, to embed a lot of that hardware, either like you said, in our either glasses, which eliminates at least staring at at a block. Um, I mean, obviously the sci-fi movies talk about like having like the contact lenses, but whatever it ends up being, like, I think we're gonna always try to minimize whatever object we need to get into that space. But I do agree. I think that mixed reality to me is more exciting than like VR, right? Like VR, I mean, I'm sure you guys have all put goggles on, but besides the fact that, it gives you a headache, that issue is going to probably go away. But this idea that you can have real life and like digital life kind of overlay with like minimal hardware, I think, is where we all want to go. And it also presents less liability, right? Like if I drop this phone or this laptop, then my key to the digital space is gone, right? So these kind of represent like a liability for us in a way, and we want to try to minimize that liability and try to make it easier and easier to access the digital space. But yeah, I mean, that's a great point, what you were saying. Like, um I know the term metaverse is so broad. Like, I'm sure we're gonna look back at this like talk in like 3 years and be like, wow, it's like us talking about like the internets, or interwebs, the World Wide Web. I'm sure what we're probably gonna see is like maybe platforms take off when we start talking more about specific platforms. But we're doing our best to figure out where we're going. So
I think everyone is. I'm pretty sure everyone is on the same boat.
yeah,
I mean, it's so new.
yeah.
Yeah, but the good thing is that we have a bunch of data, building data. So we just have to find a way to transform those data into the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yo, Darcy, that's clutch. And one thing too is I think this is kind of selfish to our team, right? But this analogy of like in the gold rush, right? Like there's this saying that in a gold rush, you don't try to find the gold like everybody else. You kind of sell people the shovel so that they can try to find the gold. In a similar way, I have no idea. I'm sure none of us have an idea if Decentraland or Sandbox is going to win out. But we are selling a pretty good shovel, so that whatever it is, we're building like our bet in accurate information. I think is going to have longevity and probably going to pay out eventually. Um, I think we're doing something right here, but
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I think we are the Newton and we have the apple. We're just waiting for the apple to fall down.
Yeah, and it's a good thing shovels don't come with instructions because
yeah, we're creating a good shovel, and however you use it, that's, you know, it's up to you. But yeah, guys, I guess with that we'll wrap it up. But this is kind of our first roundtable, the making of BIMIT. We'll probably look back at this, and we're probably gonna laugh, like whatever next product launch we do. Be like, wow, we were so dumb. Or,
Yeah.
or maybe we'll actually get to doing like 1,000 orders per day, and we're gonna look back at this and be like, yo, remember when we thought like 100 locations in a day was crazy?
Yeah, we're building up, I
Facts.
think. For sure, this is positive. But
Yeah.
No, this
maybe we
is
should. Sorry, go ahead, Sudi.
no. I was just gonna say this is definitely gonna be something to look back on and
Oh yeah,
really,
yeah,
I think we're gonna feel great. There's a chance maybe we'll feel dumb as the digital world evolves, but I think we're gonna feel great looking back at this and thinking like, wow, we were the people thinking of these things from the beginning, and look where we are now.
yeah. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely no shortage of like work to go. And I know Austin, I know you're feeling it. I know the entire team, Darsa, Alvaro, I know we're trying to figure out what should this platform and thing even look like. So I mean, kudos to the entire team. I mean, like Sully said before, like we were just talking about this literally around this time in December, and here we are. And I'm just as excited to know, okay, now that we have BIMIT, like what that kind of creates a foundation for, you know, kind of getting closer and closer and closer to like truly digitizing, you know, space.